Swing, Flipout. Good to see you guys.
G-Man.
It's been a hot minute. I've talked to you guys maybe once or twice through this whole last year, but haven't really seen you guys too much.
No.
It's good to see you. I miss you guys.
I miss you.
How's it been? Like this whole last year, it's been a pretty wild ride. No doubt about it. Like
It's been relaxing.
the last we left off, you had booked a show for Fortune, and you had a show.
The Jay
that was coming
Electronica
up.
show, yeah.
Jay Electronica?
Yeah. Just,
So you were talent buying for us here, and
a little bit. It yeah, like everybody else's shows, it got canceled and pushed back, and who knows if that's ever gonna happen.
it's gonna happen.
Okay.
Maybe towards September, but you should start booking some future stuff here.
Does that mean there will be
Ready to
shows
go.
every single night? For like a year straight, it'll be like show.
That was like the
show,
Olympics.
Show. All catching up.
There's gonna be a lot of shows.
That's cool.
Well, what have you guys been doing? I mean, obviously DJing has taken a little bit of a side hit
Not
for
for Flip Out.
everybody.
That's all he does.
No.
He DJs lots.
I've been going on Twitch. I tried IG. Everyone tried IG for a while, IG Live.
IG Live was cool at first, and then I remember jumping on some DJs, and I was like one of 10 people, and I felt embarrassed to leave
Right.
because I was the only guy on there, so
Twitch is
kind of
still
got trapped.
Twitch is kind of still like that, but the 10 people that are there are really there and not just like scrolling through on their phone. They're like maybe on a computer and they're actually coming there and they got it on in the background for music.
Yeah.
Twitch is more like a radio station.
How many views are you getting? Are you making? Is this monetizing or is it more?
It can monetize,
Oh, yeah?
It has potential. So
But right now, or
some people are killing it. People that already had a strong following who could jump on like an IG Live and get like a few hundred people already like.
it's a little bit of a learning curve to figure the whole thing out and gain the following, and
It's just being there. It's consistency, actually.
Yeah.
The people that are successful, that are killing it, are not popping up once in a while.
Right.
They're 4 days a week on there. And now they have like 300 people popping up.
so you've been DJing consistently via Twitch or still radio as well?
No, radio is my actual only job that survived.
Yeah.
So I'm in my 19th year at
Wow.
94.5.
That's incredible.
February.
I remember when that started.
2002, February.
All of us lobbying to try to get this radio station going. You know, because back in the days, you guys played for Rob and I's first club night at El Famoso. This is,
Yep.
you know, it was one of the first.
What wasn't even
Pure
that? It
hip-hop,
was the
man.
warehouse parties, the
Yeah.
52 Powell parties,
Yeah.
those, and honey dips.
And there was no way to hear hip hop music in the city at that time. Like, you would go to the clubs and it was about the DJs breaking songs. You'd hear it once, you might not know the song. By the second, third time you're hearing the song, people are singing along with it. But there's not even anybody on the radio at this point, except for co-op radio, underground radio stations.
Yeah, it was a different time, man.
And then,
But there was tapes of radio stations, radio shows in like New York,
yeah,
and maybe even like San Fran or something like that people would get. That's how else you would get it. You would know someone from New York that would bring back tapes of radio,
yeah.
but like nothing in Vancouver. It was like the warehouse, not the warehouse parties, but the warehouse club.
DJ Dave.
DJ Dave, the first hip hop DJ in Vancouver.
Before we got into El Famoso, it was always the warehouse on a Friday, Saturday night with DJ Dave, and it was like, that was the spot where you'd hear everything. Everything. You go there and hear AMG, Bitch Better Have My Money, or DJ Quick Tonight, and just those records that you don't hear anywhere else. And then it was the warehouse parties with like Honey Dips and, like I said, the 52 Powell parties. And then it was El Famoso when they finally let us in the clubs.
Yeah, and they gave us like the best Wednesday night, you know what I mean? Like, but we did it till the beginning of the club until it died, until the club just closed. You know, I think it was a 7-year straight night, and it was definitely one of the best.
7 years straight, El Famoso?
I think so.
At Red Lounge?
I think so.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Here's what I have like a memory of. It was not always packed, right? Sometimes it was like not packed.
I mean, it was
Later,
pretty packed. It
like
was pretty
six-
packed the
like-
whole time.
I'm not trying to diss.
You
I'm
are.
just trying to. No, I'm not. I'm just trying to think like, because people are like, oh yeah, I like. That's what the heydays, but there was some struggle too, right? Like sometimes it wasn't popping.
How long did it take to get El Famoso off the ground from when you first, like, opening night to when it started to pop?
Well, I think like I was starting my distribution so as well, and it was all kind of going hand in hand, and we had gone from these big club warehouse parties like raves and whatnot, like massive 5,000 people parties, and this was the first official club night. And it really had to like draw in, because it was a Wednesday. It wasn't like a Saturday or Friday. Like, this is all that people gave you for a hip hop night at that time. And had to draw upon the whole skateboard community and the whole snowboard community and bring it all in. I think for a Wednesday it was pretty popping. Like, we'd average 300 to 500 people, but there might have been a couple nights, snow, rain, a couple
maybe.
hundred people.
Yeah.
But it was so legendary because you guys were playing in Chemo and Sean Ski, and then we'd bring in Cut Chemist and Cash Money. And then my biggest memory is the infamous battle that you had with Prev.
Yeah.
That
we had a staged,
I kind of
staged 8 Mile style battle.
It wasn't staged.
It was staged.
Super real.
It was staged as in it was like...
No, Prev went on Crispy Biscuit with Kilo and was like, "Flip out, I'm calling you out. I want to battle you." That wasn't staged. That was Prev was pissed off at you.
I mean,
Okay,
yeah,
sure.
it was on a
I don't
stage.
mean made up. I mean like presented.
I kind of Don King'd that one.
Yeah, it was
and
cool.
promoted it like this big event.
It was, man. I practiced a lot, man. I was
A
like...
lot.
I
I remember Flip, we were hanging out and Flip's like, "Hey, Jay." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I think I can beat Prev." It was like he put his whole energy into that.
I had a whole book that I would write shit, and then I would like memorize certain punchlines, and then I would walk around the block at the house that we all used to hang out with, where
Kaputi.
in Marpole.
So you have that tape.
I have the tape.
I
That
don't know what
was
you've
in
done
the
with
tape deck that night. I have that tape.
Prev called me
cool
at my
here.
house. That's how he's like, hey, it's Prev. Hey, what's up, man? We have to battle, right? I'm like, yeah, sure, okay. He's like, okay, bye. Click.
Well, you rapped. You were in groups.
Awesome.
This is how I met Rob. He was your dancer, and
Yeah.
obviously AMP. You're a b-boy as well. You DJ. You've recently did a lot of hosting pre-COVID, but you never got into graffiti, the other element.
No, because I
Wasn't something.
wasn't good at it, and my friends were Dedos and Virus and Z-Lock.
True. Just give it up.
Don't
yeah.
bother.
I feel you
I was
on
like,
that.
teach me how to write my name. They're
Yeah.
like this. I was like, that's all I need. But
Yeah,
no,
true.
graph was, no, it was, the music was more visual for me, I guess. Like I can see the music, kind of.
So you've been DJing on Twitch, Jay. You haven't DJed really since?
Not really.
This is what I was kind of wondering, like when things come back, what are the songs that people are gonna, the club kids are gonna have to relearn all the bangers, and what would DJs play at this point? Like for me personally, I was keeping up on music pretty hard. Having Fortune, always the new groups or acts that we get, I always want to listen to them and hear it and keep up on it. And obviously having a couple teens as well, they keep me up on new music. But during this pandemic, I haven't really been listening to a lot of club stuff anymore because I'm at home or I'm at the office.
Yeah.
It's I feel that certain music is for the club and that's where it stays. So
Yeah.
being out of it for 11 months, I was kind of thinking like, what the hell would you play in the set? Like, how are people going to react to this music? But did you feel you're pretty up on stuff? Or if you were to play a set right now, how would you?
Yeah, because I still make mixtapes with all the new stuff, and that's how I stay up on things. And then, as a DJ, you understand what translates to the club. But I see your point, because by the time things come back, it's going to be like, what, a year and a half? Mm-hmm. What was popping before this happened is not
Right.
going to be like, the hot records. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of records missed. But, I don't know. I think people pay attention, and as long as you hit on everything kind of that was big during that time, you'll be fine.
I played at Colony Granville for a while when we had opened up a little bit in
Yeah.
May, I think it was, May till, and then
Right.
the last lockdown. And that was, was it May when we opened up? A few months. Anyway, it was still pandemic heavy. But I noticed that people wanted to hear the TikTok viral songs still. And like, I think what's going to happen is it's going to be like that phenomenon where people hear music when they're teenagers and they can't go to clubs. Their experience is very limited. And then when they are allowed to go to clubs, when they finally go to a club thing, they remember these songs from when they were a teenager, which was like 3 years prior. And those are like, oh my God. And they love those songs.
Right.
So I think the whole world is going to remember songs they heard in quarantine. And when they hear it out and everyone's like, oh my God.
This is going to be the
it's
quarantine set.
Yeah, like I think people are going to remember songs before. I don't think it's going to skip a beat at all. No pun intended, all pun intended.
Right.
I don't think it's going to, like, maybe some song
It'll take a few weeks and then it's back to it.
Some song might have lost the momentum, but then it's a fly-by-night song. Fuck that song then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, this is really like, what do you actually want to hear that you haven't heard in a public setting in a long time? I think maybe like Mo Bamba might come back. You know what I mean? Because it kind of got overplayed, but like imagine a year from now, you go to a club and Mo Bamba comes on. You haven't been able to be in a club since the last time you heard Mo Bamba. You're going to be like going fucking crazy.
I was seeing somebody post on social media, then New Year's came up and I was like, what would you play at midnight? You know what I mean? Like for this last New Year's that we had, like what would the midnight song be? Like I couldn't even think of what that might be.
I was asleep.
Exactly.
I was asleep. I have DJ'd on New Year's every New Year since I was 16. I've had a job.
Yeah.
Last year was the only year in my whole life.
How did that feel?
I fell asleep at 10:30 and I got woken up because I live downtown by everyone. I'm like, what the fuck is this noise? It's everyone, Happy New Year. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. Put the pillow over my head. And then in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, they're celebrating New Year's. I'm in bed. Like, this is
Old man
incredible. It was just kind of like a alternate universe. It was fine though. It was cool. But what song would I have played?
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah. Not hiring you for New Year's.
I don't care anymore.
Well, I mean, when we talk about El Famoso back at the Red Lounge, I mean, that was 1994, quite a long time ago. And I mean, we're still got our toes in the water here, you're still DJing and talent buying. We're still in the business. I still own the club, but what are you guys, did going through COVID, did this make you rethink anything? Like for me, it kind of fast forwarded things like 5 years from now and made me think a lot about the future. And as you guys know, I do some other things too. So it wasn't like everything was all about the club for me, which I was like thankful for, because man, it's been a tough ride for that. We've been closed for 11 months. And I mean, it could be a while before we really get going in full force. Mm-hmm. But what have you guys thought about that as far as, what's next? Because DJing, you guys have done it for a long time, and I think you're still even relevant within the whole mix. But, we only get older in this era of DJing.
I'm glad you asked that, G-Man. Because this is what we've been doing, Jay and I.
I mean, basically, like you said.
So did these records, Flip and Jay records, did this come out because COVID happened, or was this something that you thought about before?
No, it got accelerated because of COVID, but it was the idea. So how Flip and Jay records came about, the idea was that we were going to do Elements magazine book. And we were going to... So
that came first.
The idea did.
Right.
And then we're like, hey, let's put out a 45 with the book. Like Northern Touch on one side, Let Your Backbone Slide on the other. And then we're like, maybe we should just, put out these records on their own. Like, I think people want a Northern Touch record. I think people want a Let Your Backbone Slide record. And Flip being like the 45 guy, like it just made a lot of sense.
Because these are records that haven't been pressed for a long time. They're quite valuable.
There's only one record out of our catalog, and that's Let Your Backbone Slide, that's been pressed on 7-inch. Everything else is like first time on 7-inch. So,
So this was our first. So Rascal's Northern Touch on 7-inch is...
That's the first one.
This is the first one we released with like brand new artwork by Deados,
Legend.
So
what was the process of figuring out how to cut vinyl, and was that easy or hard? You found a connection that's made in Canada?
Yeah, there's a shout out Billy Bones from Clampdown Records in Burnaby. So there's a plant open up in Burnaby,
yeah.
and they do great work. So
Are there minimums on this stuff?
100, but we
Okay.
pressed anywhere from 3 to 500.
First pressing, or you did 100 first?
That was 500 was the first
Wow,
first run
you
for the
guys-
first four. Yeah.
You guys
So-
went for it.
Yeah, so like the record label, originally it was the book, then that turned into the record label, and then because of COVID, we came back to the book and finished the book. And
Right.
the record label just kept rolling. Like, I think we launched our first record in August of last year, and we're on to the solo key record is number 13 that just came out.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so I noticed you were doing all the classics. So you got Rascals, Maestro. Let's talk about these
Maestro.
ones.
Yeah, this was released when it came out, but never in North America.
Okay.
Only like in Holland and fucking Belgium, I think.
Oh wow.
Plus, we put a new B-side on it.
Yeah, it's got a album cut that's never been on there. Then we did Father Time. This is a 25-year
Amazing
anniversary.
record.
We work with the artists directly. Like, we've known Wes for quite a while, and Jay's booked him many times. I've actually rapped this song on stage with him about 5 times in my life.
Yeah.
Like, he's one of the best guys of all time.
Super
and the
nice guy.
godfather of Canadian hip hop. So we work with Sox on this.
And these guys are hyped because they're not putting out vinyl at this time, especially these classics.
Yeah, it's a
right?
legacy thing, right? Like, all these records are 20 plus years old. They're all undeniable classics of Canadian hip hop.
And they're able to make a little bit of money from this. I mean, this
Yeah,
isn't a
which-
lot of money. We're
It's
talking
not, I'm not
about.
like, it's a 50-50 deal. Everything we do is 50-50 with the artist and Flip and Jay.
Okay.
Just
Cardi
make it
now.
real easy.
Cardi Slang and Old Time Killin'. And then it was one of our favorites, Checkmate,
Dope.
with Royce the 5'9", Concise, and DJ Revolution. And then it was Chaos, and Chaos is our homie too, and we have so many ideas to do with, that we're gonna do with him. And he's like, I have a new song, can we put the new song on it? So the
Oh.
B-side is a new song he did with Mastercraft.
Amazing.
So that kind of cut the only classics kind of vibe that
Right.
we're doing. Like, it's a brand new song on here that kind of blew people away because it's the only place you get it was on the 7-inch. Big Black Lincoln. with
So it started as
all of
classics,
you.
then I noticed you just put out a solo key record a week or two ago.
Yeah.
So now,
It started as classics, but it wasn't like that in our mind.
right.
Like we didn't have like, we're only doing classics. We knew what we were gonna do.
Okay.
We were kind of like, let's make the first 10 classics, like our
Yeah. Like to
like
make
unofficial top 10
Right.
Flip and Jay, and every record we got, or we wanted to be in our top 10, we got.
yeah.
So
Is a prerequisite being a Canadian artist?
That was part of it, yeah.
yeah, I mean,
gonna
because we're
break-
from, yeah, we have plans to do some other stuff, but with like U.S. artists, but you know, that's our home, right? That's our backyard.
Dope.
And we have a connection not only like personally like with the music, we also have a connection with them personally, like the people. So it's just an amazing thing that we can do this after 25 years of working together, Jay and I,
Yeah.
do this, do the book, connect with our now friends who are so appreciative that, you know, they want to work
Yeah.
with us just as much as we want to work with them. It's not a stranger cold calling them saying, we want to re-release your record. It's like, oh, it's Flip, Jay and Flip. So it's a really cool thing. And then add to the fact that Clampdown pressing is in Burnaby, is bananas. Like, it's, if you know about putting out records, anyone out there puts out records, you know there's like a few plants in the world. There's like one in fucking Poland or something like that. And there's another one somewhere else. Rainbow and Cali just shut down.
Oh, wow.
So Clampdown is relatively new. And being able to drive there and pick up your test pressings and drive home in half an hour is crazy because people wait for a month just to get a test pressing. So
Pick up the test pressing, approve it by the end of the day, and have the, you know,
and that's it.
have the record.
That is amazing. I mean, you guys, so I mean, you've got a business together now. Ever since I've known you guys, you've known each other, and then you had a DJ crew, those MFs.
shout out Chemo.
When did you guys connect? Like, it wasn't a high school thing, right? You went to high school
No.
with Rob,
I went to high school
but
with Rob
was
Risk.
it in the early 90s kind of thing?
It was 90 before you went to San Fran. So what, 92,
Yeah.
91? It was in Roger Swan's basement, and it was like everybody knows Rogie, Roger Swan. He's like engineer extraordinaire in the city. So that's where the Rascals would go to work. That's where Flipout and Mad Child would go to work. And that's where me and Checkmate and my crew would come to work.
To
The
go to, like,
Vancouver
make
Cats, the
beats.
Burnaby Cats, and the Surrey Cats. And we'd all kind of like cross paths in Roger's basement. And then just Flip being the DJ guy and me being the DJ guy and Chemo being the DJ guy is how we started to hang out.
Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah.
That's funny because I actually met Rob through Mad Child because you guys were dancing for Mad Child.
Oh yeah.
And he came down to a trade show, and that the ASR trade show where we're doing all the clothing, all the
Yeah.
parties were going on,
Yeah.
and you'd see like Far Side or Souls of Mischief, and that's how I met Rob through Mad Child because he was coming up there.
You met Rob in like 90 then or 91?
Probably like 91, 92.
Oh, that's crazy.
And yeah, I mean, basically Rob was trying to throw these parties, and you were going to them, I'm sure, and
billiards.
dancing. And they weren't that great.
No.
You know, like I would go to them and
Rob's party sucked.
They're kind of
Says
so-so,
G-Man.
but the kid had heart. And I had a full
I saw
career,
something
you know,
in him.
distributing, and I knew I needed someone to kind of back me up, and it was like,
You knew someone to
I
pass
was
out your
actually when El
flyers.
Famoso started because doing parties in the warehouse, it was like a one-off is one thing. You know,
Yeah.
you could do it and then wait for 2 months, do it again. But when you're committing to a club night, it's 52 weeks of the year and they're relentless.
Yeah.
You're on this hamster wheel.
Yeah.
And I had, that night they went 7 years, and we had 4 nights a week at one point,
Yeah.
and they were going like 8 years straight or 9 years straight. Like it's just like
Yeah.
a marathon. But yeah, I needed somebody to back me up when I was going on the road and traveling, and that was Rob. And you know, right from the get-go, I saw his heart he put into it. It's like, okay, we're just partners, and that lasted for 25 years. We kind of just retired the G-Men and Risk thing
Yeah.
a year, like just last year or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, as you know, you
That's
were there.
crazy. Yeah, no, Rob is one of those could sell water to a well, sand to the beach kind of guys, a little bit.
And shout out to
hustler.
Rob right now.
Shout
I
out to
mean, the
Rob
guy
Riz.
is in Bali,
Oh yeah, he's
living the
been there.
life.
Oh my gosh,
He's
he's
living
like
the life, shirt
he's-
off.
shirt off every day. Shout out to Rob and his shirt off, but doing good.
Yeah, no, I mean that's. So let's talk about elements. So I don't know if you guys know this, but Avi from Beat Street has been coming over. He's probably come over to my house 5 times over COVID, and at first he bought cassette tapes from me. I kept the best stuff, but I was sitting on a whole bunch of mixtapes from yours.
Not only that,
Yours
you had
too.
tapes from. He showed me
Yeah.
you had El Famoso tapes and you had Honey Dips
Yeah.
tapes. You have Honey.
That was
Dips.
some
You
sick-
recorded Honey Dips.
Yeah, like everything, like DJs, Mr. Supreme to, you know, everything from that era of rap. But I kind of felt that I wasn't really gonna listen to them anymore, even though I collect, like, I have a couple of like portable stereos, and I kept some. Like I kept the good stuff for sure, but I kind of wanted somebody else in Vancouver to be able to enjoy this stuff and really get the use of it. And also during COVID, with every business being shut down, it was pretty wild, and
Yeah.
trying to also cleanse some stuff out of the crib. And, you know, Avi appreciated it. So he came over and bought my entire cassette collection. And I was like, wow, that's great. And he's like, do you got anything else? You know, do you have any magazines or anything? And then Judy, my wife, kind of shouts, yes, they're over there. And I remember she's like, you got to get rid of these magazines. Because I had stacks of Source, Double XL,
my gosh.
Vibe, pretty much every one, because we couldn't do flyers on the web. Like there was no web to look at flyers. So if Method Man was coming, you'd have to scan the photo from the magazine.
Right.
So I had every magazine marked off with Post-it notes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I got these mags. And he's like, oh, I'll give you this. I'll give you that. And he goes, you got anything else? I pull up this box, and I hadn't opened it since I'd moved in the house. And we're talking like 2001. And in the box, because I was a BMD street soldier with you while we were promoting, they would give us promo, and then you'd throw it on the club, and you'd snipe things, and you'd give promo. So I had stack of Wu-Tang, stack of Gangstar, Noriega, this, that, like all
You
the
had
classics.
stacks of them. I had a
Like
few of them.
I gave them all away, but like a
Yeah.
good half inch of these stickers.
Yeah, because we originally had like
we
piles
had
of them.
Stacks and
stacks
stacks.
on stacks.
Yeah.
Or a
So
roll.
I didn't know, you know, and I kind of Googled this stuff. Like you can get a vintage Wu-Tang, like they could be $20 each.
Yeah.
Like some kid will want that. And again, what am I going to do with, like, they've been sitting there for so long.
Yeah.
So I started going through it, and I started putting one aside for me, like, oh, I need that Gangster, I need that. And I was like, no, I can't, like, just take it all. You know what I mean? So he's got that. And then he came over. The last big thing that I did was cleared my entire record collection, which was pretty wild. I talked to you a little bit about it because you had cleared some of yours, but I kept all the good stuff. And Raiden, my son, was DJing a bit. Obviously, right now there's no DJing, and he's taking jazz school right now, so he's super into like the jazz stuff. So I kind of went through it and put some stuff aside that we want, and then there's a ton of club stuff that I'll never use, like just the 12-inch R&B stuff from back in the days. But man, Avi from Beat Street's gonna. He doesn't have enough in his store to put all this stuff. Like none of it's out yet, so he's trying to open a new level of the store, and he's gonna have a shit ton of stuff, including my old rap toys like Wu-Tang Clan, Public Enemy, Run DMC, like Outkast, like all these figures.
I spoke to Avi about this. Right. And shout out Avi, because Avi's like a partner with Flipout and Jay Records.
Yeah.
He distributes us, Beat Street does. I don't know if I'm like letting the
cat out of the bag?
Yeah, the cat out of the bag here, but he's gonna open up kind of like a Vancouver hip hop museum, and a lot of it's based on your shit. Like,
cool.
You know, I told him I'd give him the Flippin' Prev battle tape and that kind of stuff. But that's what he has in mind for that.
And I'm excited about that. I think
that's cool.
I think through COVID, I started to think, well, what am I doing with all this shit? Like, I feel like I'm hoarding it because I'm not really enjoying it, you know? And I got to put it out there. So it cleansed up a lot of stuff, which also made me think, like, well, I don't really need to put things into my place as much. So I cleansed a lot of stuff. Like, that was just that part.
Yeah.
Then he actually got, like, 3 days ago, he finally got the DJ booth too, because it was a DJ booth and the record shelves that go with.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
So I'm excited about that other people are gonna get to check it out.
It's gonna go to good use, yeah. It's gonna, yeah.
So is Avi gonna digitize these things and have
I don't think he's gonna do that. I think it's like literally a museum, like the tape sitting there. I told him I would digitalize all that stuff. Like I want the Honey Dip tapes. I want the old El Fam tapes.
I have El Fam recorded as well, actually. Yeah.
Well, and I also when it came to the mags, I have the original Elements mags, but he's got copies of all the originals, which you guys probably have. But let's talk about how this idea of the book came about.
There's this cat back east who does. He's doing like his thesis on Canadian hip hop, and he interviewed me for it. And he mentioned to me that another magazine, Divine Styler, remember Divine Styler? They put together a book, and he's like, man, you guys should consider this because what you guys did was great. So that's really how it started. And I asked Flip, like, you want to do this? And he's like, yep, before I can get it out, he's like, yeah, let's do it.
Because I was already looking at him, and I'm like, man, we should digitize this and make a really dope website out of it. Like, this is such a shame that people can't. And then it was kind of digitized. I always had in my mind to make it like a
UBC. So every Elements magazine is in the UBC library. Cheers. Go to UBC, the library. You can pull up every single issue of Elements magazine.
So that was kind of done, and I'm like, and then remember I had the idea. I was like, I want to make an audio. I want to do a podcast where I get other people to read the different people, like to read this out, the articles, and like, because I like just have an audio. Like some individuals are chosen to like just a book, right?
Like get KRS to read the KRS interview?
Let's talk about.
So when when Jay was like, "Yo, you want to do a magazine? Like make it into a book?" I'm like, "Yeah," because I've been trying to think like, how do we preserve it? And
well, for those that don't know about Elements, let's talk about it. So it was just a period of what years exactly?
So Elements, the idea came together in 1994, and we debuted in 1995, and it was 8 issues between 95 and 96. There was going to be an issue in 97, but it didn't quite happen, which is the bonus issue of this. But it was really 8 issues during 95 and 96.
And what's special about those years to you guys?
I mean, it's the mid-90s of 90s hip-hop. It doesn't get much better. And it's not only like 95, 96, it's everything that led up to 95 and 96. So the late 80s, the early 90s, just everything. In the book. And then, we also got to shout out our guy Dedos, because Dedos and Virus did all the covers to Elements, and when it came time to do the book, Dedos gave us this whole golden era series for the middle of the book. So it's not just Elements book, man. It's like Elements and
so this
Dedos.
is exactly Elements page per page, except, or did you
There's a few
eliminate some
things.
pages?
No, yeah, there's some stuff that we weren't really feeling.
You left some ads in there.
We left some ads in there.
left some ads.
We took out 75% of the ads, left certain ads, and then we probably took out about
Like this ad. Let's talk
Yeah.
about this ad. This is.
I thought this was actually Tara Lowe, remember? I thought it was actually Tara.
Let's
And then I
show
met
what
Tara.
the ad is to everybody. So this is a brand that I distributed called Fresh Jive, and it's arguably one of the first streetwear brands. And I supported the mag as friends of mine back then. Placed an ad, but this is when Jive did a series of
I still have
porn
those posters.
stars.
Yeah.
And they did posters of these porn stars, but you didn't know they were porn stars unless you watched porn, because it was done pretty tastefully, and Jive didn't even do women's gear at this point. But what was cool about it was they had these posters, and they were really done tastefully. Like the whole series was amazing. But I had to I fake signed them to shops, and basically said that I was this porn star, and I would write
Tara
pretty
Lowe?
crazy shit on these things, like, hey, hope you like it in the back door, or thank you so and so, whatever. And that was pretty funny. And some of these posters I would see in the shops, like they'd put them in the back room and
This
stuff.
is Tara Lowe, right?
And that was your receptionist at the time, Tara.
I think I told you, like, oh yeah, that's Tara, and you believed it
I believed it, yeah, because you're an
because
asshole.
you were naive. But so pretty much it's the same book, except you added some stuff in the middle. You're saying?
So yeah, like it's about 80% of every issue. There's some things that we weren't really too not even too comfortable. Just thought it was kind of whack. Like the material wasn't as strong, so we didn't include it in the book. But it's mainly the majority of the issues, Dedos' stuff, and then the last bonus issue is a Jay-Z interview Flip did in like '96 that was gonna be in the next issue. The next issue didn't come out. Nardwar did it. Well, shout out Nardwar too, because he did the forward for us, which is really dope.
Yeah, he was really into this because he's from CITR.
Yeah.
And that's where we originally did it. So he remembers us from back then, and he really liked what we were doing. He thought it was super, punk rock. We were like the sub magazine under the under the Discorder one. So we were even more kind of punk rock than the punk rockest of them. And we had to go there. We got to use the Discorder office, but only when they weren't using it. So, which was like after 11 p.m.
It was, you know what it was? It was
Before
after
night.
El Famoso. It was after all those club
After the
nights.
club, yeah, we'd
After
go
the club
into
every
the
time.
magazine.
So learning how to produce this book, as you've learned how to, you found the supplier here. What's the difference, and how did you get this book produced, and what are some of the logistics behind that?
As far as the book, shout out DJ Science. He really took everything we gave him and put it into what you see now.
Yeah,
He laid
DJ
out-
Science scanned the
That's
original.
a shit ton of work right there.
He
lot of
scanned
work.
all the original magazines, and that's original yellowing, because we don't have any of the discs, because we didn't even do it we didn't even submit a disc. We laser printed and pasted.
It's like
these
fanzine
sheets
style.
on
the
these big ass
carb-
boards. And
big boards. So none of that survived. CRTR actually threw them out without contacting us first.
And are these produced in Canada?
yeah, in
Yeah.
Richmond to be
In
exact.
Richmond? Okay.
Yeah, we
What are the minimums on the book?
I mean, I don't know. We did 450 and sold out in a month. So
So you're working on a second.
we're working on a
pressing.
second pressing. Yeah. We are 100%.
Same exact, or are you going to change up the color?
Might change.
cover?
There might be a few. There might be a few differences. It depends, right? Because we did this on our own, but personally, I would like it to be in every store, hip hop store everywhere in the world, and we need some help with that. So we'll see where it goes from here. I think this was the version that we did for Vancouver. We kept the Nitwits, we kept the Cypher, we kept CIA, we kept everything Vancouver in there.
yeah
Some stuff, might come out when we do the next issue. We'll see where it
put
goes.
more of Dedos' stuff for sure.
More of Dedos, like all his updated stuff, but
And
also before we go on, I want to shout out Rumble. He did the Incredible E's EQ story, which for us being rap dudes, EQ are our idols. They're like the first rap group in Vancouver
rest
that,
in peace, Ease.
yeah, no doubt, that made all of us, anybody, I don't care if you're talking Rascals, Swollen, Mocha, anybody, like those guys were our idols.
Mm-hmm.
So we have their story in the book, which means a lot to us.
Yeah, definitely.
So with the records, you guys are keeping this going. I can see where that can go. There's hundreds of people you can do records with. I mean, is there any going forward with another book or any plans to get into that more?
Other than a second edition of Elements, I think there'll be a Deados book. That's it though.
So,
Yeah.
awesome. And other than that, COVID, what have you guys come out of this with? Like what kind of...
Not COVID.
What kind of... Thank goodness. What kind of revelations and what kind of things are you guys coming out of this whole last year with?
I could use a job. Got one for me, bro? I mean, I don't know. This is what it is. It's like COVID flip.
I mean, I remember talking to you over it and you were like, dude, I might have to get a job. And I mean, you didn't because
I didn't want to, right? Like, well, it's a
so.
job, but like, you know, we've always figured out how to make our living doing music
Yeah.
for the last couple of decades. And that's, you know, you ask about what did COVID teach us? It taught us this. It taught us how to put out a book, how to put out a record label, and how to like really hustle to like continue
What about personally? Any sort of things there that you can come out with, like more family time, less going out, more sleep?
Yeah, I go to bed at 9 every Friday, Saturday now. It's incredible. That's
cool.
it, man. Like, you know, doing what we did already, my hours were super flexible, so the family time never suffered. Like,
Yeah.
that was, you know, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 for me is the family. So that hasn't, you know, that's been the same. It's just been this.
How about you?
I mean, I've been pretty chill. All my family is close by, so I haven't missed on like traveling to see
Right.
like immediate family. But like, I can see how some people would have had a hard time if they can't even go to like Ontario to see their folks or something like that, or even to Alberta.
But how to live stream really well.
True.
Kind of not really. All these cameras, man, I wish I had this friggin' setup. All I can think about is I wish I had this setup to DJ with.
Shout out Kenny Mack.
Thumbs up.
You missing DJing, guys?
Yeah,
Or-
I miss the action. I miss being out on a Friday, Saturday night. I miss, you know, the dance floor right in front of you, and
Yeah.
making people have a good time. Like, I miss that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you get a bit of that on Twitch, but you know the gigs that I had right before COVID were chill. Like I had 2 restaurant gigs, which was awesome, and then the other ones were like vinyl gigs on a Friday at like the Fox. So it was
Right.
like smaller venues, specific things. I wasn't
Yeah.
really doing a club night, even though that would be fun. But I wasn't doing one where there's no night where I was like, oh man, I don't know what's going to happen tonight. It might be good, it might not be good. I always had something that was going to be fun and pretty chill and
Yeah.
nothing too stressful. So I don't know, man. When I'm around a group of people like now, it feels very odd, you know. But
Yeah.
I love the energy. I realize that I miss it. But when I'm not around it, I'm not really missing it.
Yeah, for
Just
sure.
because I'm a little bit of introvert, right? So it kind of fits into my thing. But then,
You're an introvert?
yeah, man, don't you know what an introvert is?
Yeah, but I would never have guessed. And I've known you for
A lot of DJs are introverts.
half my life.
That's
Alright.
why we stand behind a barrier.
No, I
and
get
we're
it.
part of the party.
I would say I'm there too, but I never expected that from you. Just saying.
I'm
Not
an
dissing, I'm just saying. Would
What?
anybody else in this room think Flipout's an introvert?
No.
No. I'm
You
saying
guys-
I'm not.
You hide it
It's not like a wild take or anything.
Yeah,
Give him a bottle of something and
I
come
am.
out.
Okay.
Well, hey man, thank you guys for your time, like being part of this first podcast, and I really have loved being friends with you guys for this whole time, you know, and it's just been great, and great to see you guys pivot to what you're doing. I mean, it's well deserved. You guys deserve all of this success, and you guys are bringing this to the people. It should be guys like you, and yeah, I can't wait to rock a party with you guys, like some sort of
To the
thing.
people.
So,
To
yeah,
the
man.
people.
Like they say in this song.
Thank you guys.
Funny joke. Inside joke. All right.
Nice, gents.
All right.